Welcome back to the Bayside Fabrication YouTube channel. Now, I haven't posted anything in a hot minute, man. It's been a long time, but one of those deals. 1-year-old and a 4-year-old, and life's just crazy. So I've been just focusing on the kids and making money and all that stuff, and obviously YouTube stuff comes at the very, very end of the pile. But today I have kind of a cool project I'm working on I want to show you guys. For any golf cart enthusiasts, this is what I just picked up. Now, I already started taking it apart, and I wasn't even going to make a video on it because it was like whatever, but I figured now that I'm here, I might as well. So this is a 2023 Evolution Classic Pro golf cart. This thing was about this high in floodwater from Hurricane Helene about a month ago. And I picked it up for $1,800. And thankfully, the owner was able to pull the 48-volt lithium-ion battery before the storm. So the battery was high and dry the whole time. The cart, like I said, he said it was flooded up to the wheels. And I would say that's probably accurate. When I got it, the motor was completely seized up. But what the previous owner did was he didn't do anything to the cart. I think he kind of let it dry out a little bit, and then he put power to it, and then that's what shorted everything out. So just so you can see what we're dealing with here, this is the motor controller. And yeah, that's quite burnt up. So naturally, I got this thing. I'm like, oh, I'll see if I can get it working. Just replace it with stock stuff and this and that. And then, of course, I'm like, well, while we're in there, we might as well hot rod it a little bit. So what I was able to do is get in touch with a guy, Albert, on the other side of the state. And he kind of hot rods golf carts. And him and I were able to put a kit together for a Navitas swap. So we're running a Navitas 5 kilowatt motor and a 600 amp controller in this thing, and it should be able to do wheelies. So yesterday I just got the kit in and I started getting it all together. I just got the throttle mechanism wired in or bolted in. I have our on-the-fly controller, so this you can adjust your speed, regen, and acceleration just by a turn of a knob. This thing should be able to do wheelies. I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be pretty wild. Just so to kind of recap of what I know works, the battery and charger works. I was able to charge the battery up from 88% to 100%. So believe it or not, even though the charger got wet, I pulled the panels off and everything, and it was perfectly fine. It's all sealed. Once you open it up, you can kind of see it's completely sealed off unit. So that was great news. The only thing that failed was this little fan, so I replaced it. It was like a $10 fan. So yeah, that's great news. And before I pulled the wiring harness out, the whole 12-volt side of the system worked. So I was able to get 12 volts to everything, and turn signals, brake lights, headlights, all that stuff are confirmed working. However, the new kit that I have, and you'll be able to see here, comes with a complete new wiring harness, including the chassis harness. So I kind of got halfway through stripping out the 12-volt side from the 48-volt side, and realized that new harness actually comes with all the chassis side stuff. So it should kind of be plug and play. I might have to redo a few pinouts or a few plugs, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm excited. So at this point, we're just waiting on the controller and motor from Navitas to come in. That should be here today. And right now, I'm just going through pretty much everything to make sure, see what's what. I'm gonna start getting the wiring harness installed and prepped for the controller and all that stuff. So yeah, right now we're at a basic point where we're all emptied, cleaned up. Just a note, I did pull the oil out of the rear end, and it was not an ounce of or a drop of water inside that. So that was good. So the rear end was completely sealed. No water got in the rear end, and that's great news. And other than that, yeah, I'm just starting to get a few things buttoned up here. Like I said, I got our on-the-fly controller mounted, and right now I was actually just going through it has a new forward reverse switch, and I was gonna mount it in kind of like a discreet location down here. That way it's kind of out of the way. It gives it a little bit of anti-theft, I guess you could say, if someone comes up and they want to try jacking this thing and the keys are in it for some reason. It might be a little trickier to find, but it's nice and easy to access for me. And mainly, I didn't really have a good spot for it on the dash. So I was like, well, where can I hide this that, I didn't want it to be, it's kind of an ugly switch, to be honest with you. So I didn't want to, put it anywhere crazy. But yeah, I think that's going to work out right now. So right now, I'm just going to cut out that little rectangle here for our forward reverse switch, and we'll get this wiring harness installed. But for those of you familiar with golf carts, which I'm not, this is going to be an interesting swap. It should be able to do wheelies, I think. I mean, it's from everything I've seen with these Navitas 600 amp controllers and 5 kilowatt motors, it's going to be pretty rowdy. The only real upgrade I can do after this is get like a 72 volt battery, but they're like $3,000, and that's not something I'm really interested in. So as of right now, I'm $1,800 into the golf cart. I pretty much bought it because the battery was high and dry. As most of you know, I mean, the cost of this battery is pretty much what I paid for the whole thing. It came with a clear title. It's a street legal golf cart. It's been registered with a Florida registration and everything. So it's completely street legal and ready to go. So that's one of the reasons why I bought it. And it's only a year old. I mean, I know it had floodwater in it, but it is what, I mean, everything looks fine. Everything works, obviously, except for the motor that got submerged. And yeah, I mean, it's just, it's going to be a nice little unit. I mean, it's got these covers on it because it's too dang hot in Florida to sit in black leather. But I mean, you can see this thing's, brand new, more or less. So we're going to get swapping all these parts, and yeah, we'll see what this thing does. Oh, and just for the record, so yeah, I'm $1,800 into the cart, and the whole conversion kit that I got cost me right under $3,000. So yeah, you can buy this cart, this exact cart stock, a 2023. They go for like $6,000, $5,500, $6,000. So I'm pretty much going to be into this thing for $5,000, but it should be able to do about 40 miles an hour. So that's the cool part about it. So we'll see. I'm pretty excited to get it going here. Okay, just going into a couple small details here. I didn't show this last night when I was doing it, but this is the new throttle control, and it utilizes the same holes and everything. As far as I can tell, all these carts are pretty much the same with the exception of a few things. For example, this is the old gauge pod, or the old gauge rather. This is the old gauge pod. Here's my new gauge. And I mean, they literally just drop right in. Even the bezels here, I can now switch out a chrome bezel to the black if I wanted to, but I mean, everything's kind of almost exactly the same as far as fitment and things like that. So if I were to guess, they all probably source it out of the same factory in China, and they just kind of relabel and rebrand things, and that's how they do it. But it makes it really easy for this golf cart stuff, I'm used to actually having to fabricate things, but this stuff's pretty much all plug and play at this point. All right. Well, look what just came in. So the wiring harness was sent to me yesterday, and the controller and the motor just showed up. So I'll do a little unboxing here. So I was just working on the wiring. I do a couple plugs, nothing crazy though. So everything's pretty straightforward on the wiring side, it seems like. Looks like hardware. Like a mounting plate, and here's the controller itself. All right, pretty straightforward. Here's our, what is it? I think it's a 35 pin connector, and then this is our on the fly input. $1,000 right here. It's pretty crazy how much these cost, but awesome. Very exciting. So this has, if you guys know about these units, this has Bluetooth built right in. So you can do diagnostics over your phone through the app, and you can also do, you can calibrate your throttle position and all sorts of stuff. So I haven't even looked at the app yet, but that's exciting about this. And that's why people really use this brand, is because it's so user-friendly. It's not like one of these things where it's like, oh, I need to do X, Y, and Z, and then go to a dealer and all this crap. No, it's they're really user-friendly from my understanding of the company so far. So we'll put that to the test, but that's exciting. So this looks like, oh, this is the solenoid. So this comes with a heavy-duty solenoid as well. Now, look at the heavy box here. So I've never messed around with anything electric really, like vehicle-wise. So this is all kind of new to me, but I'll tell you what, it's not that complicated. This whole electric car thing is not as rocket science as it might seem to some people, but holy crap. Look at that bad boy. All right, well, I just went and got my damaged motor, but that's quite the size difference. So I'll have to just figure out the mounting holes and everything, but it only had 3 bolts in it, if I recall, this one, 3 or 4 bolts. So we'll see how this looks, but they said this one should be a direct bolt on. The spline count already looks the same, but I'll confirm that before I try muscling this in. But man, that's a big unit compared to this one. All right, here we go. Got these nifty little lift handles here off Amazon. They've come in handy in a few situations like this. So I do have to say this motor is not necessarily light. Look at that. Went right on there. Just gotta find a couple bolt holes. That was pretty painless. That's how you motor swap a golf cart. Not too bad. Well, it's the next day, and I actually made a little bit of progress last night. I CNC'd out an aluminum panel. See it there, and mounted my speed controller to it. Now you might be wondering why I'm making this whole new setup. Well, the stock panel went on top right here, and the controller sat right on top of that. So in this situation with this wiring harness I have, it only goes to about midway here, and that prevents me from being able to mount the controller in the stock location. I would have liked to have had that controller mounted in the stock location. It's just a little more high and dry, but it's just not gonna work, and I don't feel like extending this wiring harness up. So check this out. And this is gonna look good too. So I mean, it doesn't really, make any difference here. But this controller now, get a couple bolts in the top there. So it's a nice clean setup. Like I said, I got my little carbon fiber accent. It's just kind of, gives it a little whatever. It's a golf cart, who really cares? But yeah, that's gonna work out pretty well here. So then I can run all my wires just right up and over. Or if I feel inclined, I really wanna clean it up, I'll just punch a hole and do like a 2.5 inch hole with a grommet or something, and just have it go right through there. That might be a good look too. So we'll see how it turns out. But I already measured, and I have, about 3 inches from these terminals to the battery. So those are gonna be all covered, and that should be good. So we're just gonna drill a couple holes, get this panel mounted up, and we're well on our way here. All right, everything is now installed. Okay, battery's connected and nothing is caught in fire, so that's great. Now I'm gonna go into the app and see if I can connect to the controller via Bluetooth. So we'll see how this goes. All right, so we got everything in, and unfortunately the turn stock and all this stuff was goofy, but we got our everything here. Now, when I first started it up, forward was reverse, reverse was forward, and it was goofy, but that's all things you can change in the app. So I went on to the app. So this connects to your phone with Bluetooth. So I went on and switched the motor direction and the indicator direction. And now, oh, it'd be helpful if I push the gas. Now we're in business. So I just got to wrap up a few things here. Like I said, I'm going to try to connect the battery gauge that came with the battery here to the CAN setup on the controller, because this reading here is just reading like a nominal voltage off the battery. So it's not very accurate. They said it's plus or minus 10%. So we're going to try to get that hooked up to the controller so it's a real accurate measurement. Also, all my turn signals and stuff, I had to wind up getting a new turn signal stock. This one's a 6-pin coming out. This one's a 9-pin, and it's kind of completely different. All right, here she is. I got it all kind of buttoned up. My turn signal indicator wasn't the correct pin out, so I had to mess with that. So long story short, I don't have lights or anything, but let's take it for its first rip here, see what it does. Now I tested it forward, reverse, and all that stuff on the on jack stands, so I know that works. Look at that. Feels like a golf cart. All right, so I think I'm just gonna turn it up. First hit here. See if we can do a wheelie or something cool. All right. All right, it does wheelies. All right, I'm probably gonna have to turn that down. Let's see here. All right, we already hit 30. I'm gonna have to dial down the acceleration, I think, because it's pretty touchy. I did have the throttle calibrated, but man, it's like there's not much swing in the throttle assembly, let's say. So it doesn't take much movement to really get this thing activated. But once you're up to speed, it's not bad. Like, you know, cruising, I mean, it gets to 25 quick. Let's see. I got some speed bumps here. I'm just in my neighborhood, so what I'll do is I'll do a little top speed run. There's a little straightaway here. See what kind of max speed we can get out of this thing. So this is the 48 volt 100 amp hour lithium battery that comes stock with these Evolutions. Like I said, this is a 2023 Evolution. So all right, I'll I'll try to get the speedometer here. Let's do a top speed deal. All right, 37. All right, so that was 37. I do have the speed limiter set to 40, but it seems like 37 is as fast as it's gonna go with this 48 volt battery. But that's plenty fast. I mean, my whole goal is to, you know, cruise around the neighborhood with the kids and go to the grocery store and stuff like that. Like, I'm not trying to set any world records, but 20 is painfully slow, especially, you know, I live right near the beach. So if you're trying to go to the beach or anything. All right, well, I was chatting while I was driving, but I figured the wind sound was probably gonna get crazy, but here it is, guys. So I'm all in for about $5,000 cart, and this is a LSV cart, so it's all titled and ready to roll on for being street legal here. I just got to go get it registered. And yeah, 37 miles an hour top speed, and does little wheelies. So that's very fun. To recap, I'm just going to go over a couple things that I just had issues with. None of it was major, and none of it had to do with any of it operating. So the motor, controller, and battery, and all that side of things was awesome. The only time I ran into any issues was on the 12 volt side. So after it steps down from our DC step down to 12 volt, the harness they sold me, the headlight and turn light plugs were not compatible. They just had spade connectors on the headlights and everything, which, you know, they could work. I mean, you push them into the plug, but it's ghetto and hacky. I didn't like that. I changed all those plugs to automotive style waterproof plug. So that was a little bit annoying because it takes time to, you know, repin and replug everything. The second thing was the DC step down they sold me. This is not it. They sold me a step down that was not compatible with the harness, as far as it was not a plug and play unit. You know, the plugs weren't even close to being the same. The step down had a single plug. The harness had two individual plugs. And then the step down had an extra ground wire coming out that was not compatible with the chassis side. It was kind of BS. So I wound up just purchasing, it was like 60 bucks on Amazon. It's a 48 volt to 12 volt DC step down. That solved that problem, okay? So I was able just to make a new plug, same amount of wires coming into the step down, same amount going out per the harness. So that was something that wasn't compatible. The second thing that wasn't compatible was my turn stock. So this is the plug that came with the harness, and you can see it's a 9-pin. And on my turn stock, it had a 6-pin flat blade coming out. I thought I could make them work because it's just headlights, turn signals, indicators, and things like that. Super simple, and a horn. Super simple, but this has ground going into it. It has 12 volt constant going into it, and then it has all your other stuff. And for some reason, I couldn't get that to work. I had my voltmeter on it and everything, and it was, you know, it was popping breakers and stuff, trying to get it to work. Not sure what the issue was there, but I did talk to Albert, who I bought all this stuff from, and he's going to give me a part number for that turn stock that is plug and play to here. So they're cheap enough. I mean, they're like 60, 70 bucks for a whole new turn stock. So in hindsight, it'd be just as easy just to buy a whole new turn stock. So it's plug and play, and you're not trying to repin wires or anything like that. But that's really all it was. Every issue I had was just on the 12 volt side. So that's no big deal because the cart will run. I mean, it runs right now and doesn't have headlights or brake lights or anything because I'm just waiting on that turn stock. And that's where I'm at. I mean, it's awesome. I mean, it's really too much for, you know, for the kids and everything. I can't leave it on full power with the kids on the back. So this is just the settings I have it on now. This is civilized. This is like 32, 33 miles an hour on the street. And if you punch it, you're not going to do a wheelie and, you know, throw the kids off the back. With all that being said, I'm going to go over this real slow. So these are all the part numbers of everything that I received. Now, if you're interested in purchasing this, I would, you know, you can feel free to screenshot everything right here. And this is the man you want to talk to if you want to order any of this stuff. His name's Albert. Really great guy and ultra helpful. I mean, he gave me his personal phone number and he answered me on weekends, and he was just really great about everything. And he was extraordinarily helpful in the process. So, like I said, there was a couple small issues, like, you know, immediately when I purchased it, reverse was forward, forward was reverse, and all that stuff. That's all stuff that's in the app, and he guided me through how to do all that. Super easy, and once you open up the app, everything's very easy to understand. So there it is. I got a 37-mile-an-hour golf cart that does wheelies, and you know, all in for right around $3,000. Not including the cart, of course. The cart is $1,800, so I'm into this thing about $5,000 total. And I'm actually going tomorrow to the DMV to get a plate for it, and it's just a fun little deal. I'm excited about it. My first time really messing with anything electric like this, and it's really, really, really simple. So it's very easy to take care of. So I hope this video is helpful, and I'll catch you on the next one, guys. Thanks for watching.